Okay. Sit. We always practice at boundaries this way. He does not race through. You heard me say sit. I always have them sit. I have him sit before we open the door because it's a lot harder for a dog to stay in a sit stay as you open the door. So let's do it as hard as it possibly could be. Therefore, he would have much better skills if we do it that way. He waits. I come back next to him. Okay. He walks through with me. If he starts to pull you at your house, just stop at the threshold and tap him. See how easy that is? Make sure that he's not pulling you through those boundaries. And then if you're by yourself, you have to do a little left turn, of course, to close a gate or door. And by the way, it's this way with front doors, back doors. Sit. This is your door in your house. Sit. You open it, or you open it in. You step out. You're accentuating the fact that this is your boundary, not his. He's not allowed to race through it anymore, or even go through it when he's on leash, at least. Unless he goes through with you. Okay, he waits calmly, comes back in. We're just going to come right back like this. Sit. It's just a great little exercise you can practice with him. You can walk around your house on the inside of your house and have him sit at every boundary, every doorway. Step through the boundary, step back. He waits till you get there. You say okay, and make sure that if he's pulling you through, because he might try to pull you through, you know how he used to pull so much. Make sure that it's a loose leash. You could even stop at the threshold, and you see how that works really well. Every time you do this, he gets a little bit better. And then you're always, if you have to go back to close a door, it's always a little left turn to close the door. Try not to be doing this or holding on to him like that, because the left turn is so beneficial anyway to the training. Your body's always showing him where to go. But turning left will always draw him next to you. Okay, so if I'm going to go right, I'm just going to go left. You see how easy that is? And it's in him now. If the human on his right is going to do this, he does that. So if you do this move, you'll have this more and more. Okay, we're going to do the curb right here. And so I'm having him sit at the curb. Curbs are boundaries, very important boundaries. And the point is that if whenever you're walking him or training him on the leash, you are building in a healthy respect for boundaries where he no longer just races through and pulls you through like you're irrelevant, but he really waits for you to come back after you've stepped out first and come back to get him, and then, okay, no pulling. And if he does, you walk slowly and you tap. That's the antidote for that. You have to slow it down. We're going to cross right now. It's a very quiet street. And then over here, we're going to release him to start the walk. But see how all I have to do is walk slower and tap him if I think that he's going to be pulling me. And then on the other side, sit and go. Release him. Now you can start the walk. And he does, and we know that he did have a big pulling problem. And you see how I'm handling the leash, and you may have seen that when I released him to go. He wanted to launch forward, and all I did was let him go to the end of the leash and tapped it, and he stopped. So even there, if he does that, and I was holding it with one finger. So this is not about strength, it's just about doing it the way I'm doing it. So you have to really avoid this kind of stuff and that, because it's not going to help you at all, and it's going to trigger the way he used to be. But if you get used to my way of doing it, it's easier, and it's simply all about the tap and release. And of course, come, drawing it back to you. Good if you have to. And if you're doing it on your walks daily the way we are, like this, waiting at boundaries. By the way, you saw the gate. We also did it at the front door as well. Walked through the yard, did it at the gate, did it at the curb, across the street. Now he's free. If you do that before your walk, and at your house it might be your front door, the curb, and then he's released to start the walk. It's still going to really be beneficial to you in the long run, because that kind of puts him in the zone, starts to walk off on the right way, on the right footing. You're in charge, not him pulling you out the front door, excited, out of control. The walk starts on the inside of your front door when you put the leash on him. That's when the training starts. Don't let him pull you out onto the street, because then it's too late. So you start with the boundary training before you open your front door. He sits, you open the door, you step through, step back, just like you saw us do with the gate and the curb, and then do any gates and curbs as well. And you start the walk on your terms, and you'll have this much calmer Henry when you start your walk. Okay. We're taking a little nice leisurely walk with Henry on the street, and can you see this dog coming from where you are? Okay, so see how he stares, hones in on the dog? Come! It's better that as soon as you see a dog and he sees a dog that you use the training. So come, dog shows up, completely unannounced, and just stay there. Come. See what I'm doing with Henry? I'm calling him away. Let's say that you can't get away from this dog. You can't go around. Come. You can't go the other way, and this dog just is right in front of you. See what I'm doing? It's all loose leash. Come. What was that, 4 times I called him back to me? And just like the recall, left hand leash, right hand reward, we're calling him away just the way we would practice when there's nothing there. Come. And see how, if he gets really close, he might get excited. He just likes other dogs, but we know that he's easily overstimulated, so he could cause a problem with a dog that doesn't know him and that he doesn't know. Come, and see that dog? Good. He's calm, but he's giving off certain vibes that, like, I think if Henry ran over there and jumped on him, it may not be good. See how good, you do it a few times, and the pattern starts kicking in because we practiced the recall so many times. But for you to have what I have now, and it to happen so quickly with just a random dog on the street, you have to practice like I practiced for at least a few weeks. You're just calling him to come to you every day, away from different things. When you take him for a walk, make sure you come. Make sure you never miss an opportunity to call him away from a dog. Don't wait till the dog's, right on top of you like this. I'm just illustrating how he could be once you've practiced it and what he's capable of being handled properly. You see a dog over on the other side of the street or 50 yards away, you need to call him back. Come, as soon as he sees the dog, because that's how I changed him when it came to distractions out on the street. I didn't wait for him to stare, for me to do this, to restrain him. Those are all the things that trigger the bad behavior that you never want to see again. So you're walking, you're keeping the leash loose, left hand leash, your right hand's free, you see a distraction, come, call him back to you. Good, see, we're doing it just exactly like we did it in the other clip somewhere else, practicing. It's just like that, and you're gonna have a much calmer Henry if you just stick with those rules. And if the dog is aggressive and barks like crazy and is a big problem, all bets are off, because even a calm dog might be triggered by that. But that's another reason for not letting the dog get right on top of you. But as soon as he sees a dog, and you're going to see the dog first because you're so much taller, you'll most likely see the dog from far away before Henry does. So you're watching Henry, and as soon as he goes, oh, there's a dog, come, call him back to you. Try to cross the street, try to go around a car, and so they can go past or something like that. With a dog that's aggressive and overstimulated, it might be a little bit more than Henry can handle, especially at first when you first start practicing. So still try to get your recalls in, but try to keep him out of trouble as well, just by moving forward. This is the worst that it could be, because we're just standing here. When you're moving and you keep going another way, it'll be easier for the dog to just, to move with you and pass by. So we're showing you like a worst case scenario here, and you see how calm Henry can be. He's doing really well. Good boy. If the dog, one more thing, if the dog surprises you, you don't have a treat, maybe you ran out of treats, just like the perfect storm. Dog shows up, you ran out of treats, you're almost home, but you just didn't quite make it. Pretend like you have a treat. He goes towards the dog. Come, pretend like you have it. He doesn't know this is empty. Good boy. Your other hand, of course, grabs a leash. You step into him, you get him out of there it'll work every time because of the way you practice. When you don't have a reward, it will work. Sit. This is our basic greeting routine that we practice every day with somebody. I have them sit. We approach the person. You always approach the person. You never let the person approach the dog and try to touch the dog. Even if he doesn't have an issue with strangers or being touched, you still just don't do it. It's just a lot more comfortable for the dog to wait, to be allowed to go over to the other person, see how my right hand is there, go, I send him over. He takes the reward, I say, come. Good, and if this is a stranger, the next time I'd say, sit. And you could just do it 3 times in a row, which will take you all of 20, 30 seconds to do this, maybe a minute. Just say, now you can pet him. So when he takes the treat out of your right hand, you just pet him with your left at the same moment, okay? Go. Come, call him back to you. If he even looks like sit, he's gonna jump or do something inappropriate because he's really excited, you're gonna call him back to you. And if you're practicing with family members, friends that know the rules, you know if he jumps, you say nope and you back away. You don't correct, because the corrections, the pushing him away, saying his name, saying, you know, all that kind of stuff will just make him think that you're playing. So the whole concept is if you're petting him and he jumps, everything stops. The attention stops. That's why he's so much better and really not doing that with us at least anymore, because he wants to be petted. He wants attention. And so instead of correcting, fighting that behavior gets nothing, no attention. Therefore it dies out. He stops jumping. Your hands come back down and pet him. So he learns really quickly. Nope. That was my fault. Sit. He learns really quickly that if he stays on all fours on the ground, he gets attention. Once he acts inappropriately, even takes one paw off the ground, or if you feel him doing any play nibbling or something, you take away that attention, that behavior dies off because you're not correcting him, therefore giving him attention for that behavior. So one last time, go say hi, petting, get the treat, come. Good, call him back to you. There's so many times, sit, and so many situations where you're going to be practicing your recall. It's just the most important command because it could save his life someday. Also, it just every time you're doing it this way, it just makes you more and more important to him in his life. And you want him to be able to come from anything, anytime, anywhere. And you see even through the clips, you know, we're just practicing it everywhere so that already with him it's second nature, but you do have to continue doing exactly what we're doing or else it would not be so good. He'd start to forget and he could go back to his old ways. So that's why we're making the video, of course, so that you can not possibly forget how to do this. And you don't have to do it hours a day or even, you know, a half an hour. Just practice a couple of these, call them to come to you 4, 5, 6, 8 times a day in circumstances with a leash so that you can reinforce it. In an emergency, you're not going to have the leash or a treat, and still it probably will work. But the more you practice on a leash, the more it's likely to practice with no leash. Sit. Good. Of course, you know, we never repeat the command, ever. We don't have to say stay because stay is built into sit. And this is just a basic sit stay where we, the Amtrak train right there, that's kind of scary. Where we walk around both ways, just make sure that he's used to us walking around each way. Reward him when you come back next to him like this, standing next to him, eye contact, straight down. Good. And if he gets up or anything like that before you release him, he's not going to make a mistake. So I'm going to release him. Go. And just pretend that he popped up because he got distracted by something. You just simply say, don't say SIT again because you already said that once and we want the first time to really hold. So he pops up, makes that mistake, just say no. Step into him, do this little do-over turn like that where you step into him, your body literally turns him like that. Put him back. I didn't say SIT because I already said it the first time. This could be scary for a lot of dogs. You know, this noisy thing being pushed along beside him and behind him, but he did really well. there's no stay. You don't have to say stay. We never have. He just knows that he's waiting to be released, and he always gets released the same way. So we'll do that again. He did a really solid sit stay there. You're next to him. He's on your left. Straight down, eye contact. Good. And then release him with your right hand. He's on your left, so your right hand is nope. And see, all I did was I said no, and I tapped him, and he went back. It's really effortless. There's no strength involved in this. Always keep this loose, this leash loose, so that you're not restraining him. Pat his chest and say, go. And he'll be free. Okay, sometimes if you're going to do a command and it's a difficult environment, it's okay. It's really good to, a lot of the times, to do that circle where your body turns into him. Okay, like that. And then at the end of that circle, down. And because he's kind of nervous here, he's, as you know, he's kind of a nervous dog. That was one of the reasons he came here. He's very skittish, very jumpy. You may not have even seen it, but I kind of helped him a little bit. As I said the command, at the same moment, I helped him. I barely put any pressure on the leash, but sometimes he needs that when he's extra nervous or there are a lot of distractions around him, because it's harder for him to focus and be clear-headed when there's a lot of noise and things going on. So obviously, if you can give him a little help, the stay is solid. And you see, I just did a basic walk around down stay. And if all you did was just take him to different places and just do this walk around down stay and just do like 30, 40 seconds, whatever, and then you reward him like this, the reward is always this way. And I usually have the leash, in this case, in my left hand, and with my right hand, I swing in. I don't go like this. I go like this, because that will lure him to jump up and take this. But you swing in like this on his level, and you put it on the ground. Good. He waits till you withdraw, and you say good when he takes it. Saying good at the same moment that he takes the reward makes him feel pretty good about that word, good. So that's why we always say it at the very moment that they take the treat, because later on when we say good, we don't really have to have a treat, and he's still feeling great about it. So I'll do it one more time. You see how I'm doing it? And he waits. Good. Because you want every single step of this downstay to be calm, where he's calm. So he can't grab the food. If he tries to grab the food, pull back a couple times and say no. He'll know what that means. And then he'll let you do it the way that I'm doing it now. But you don't want to throw the food down. If you're nervous or you have anxiety for whatever reason, maybe wait to do this training with him when you're calmer. To release him, come back next to him. Okay, sit. See how I released him up by saying okay? I kind of stepped forward like that, and then I said sit. It's so much better to release him from a calm sit stay, because that way you don't release him straight out of a down and he jumps up and he's hyper and runs around, and you'll destroy any kind of calmness that you're trying to develop at that down stay. But if you reinforce by doing it from a sit stay, if you reinforce a calm release from a sit stay like this, see how he's just, he's a dog that gets really jumpy and nervous, and make sure that he does this the right way. I want to make sure that I'm facing the camera so you can really see what I'm doing with my hand. I'm waiting, go, and I release him. And you want to have that calm, please pass, it's okay. And you want to have that calm release. And every time that you do a downstay or sit stay and you release him in a calm manner, and he puts up with a couple of distractions, and that distraction might be just you walking around him both ways for a few minutes in your house. You release him calmly like that, you'll see that calmness starts to take over his life. You see how much calmer? Come! I got it. Good, I just practiced the recall because that guy looked like he liked dogs, but I didn't know that he liked dogs, so I called him away from that person. So we really want that calmness to take over his life. He's already a lot calmer than he was before, but this needs to be continued after he comes home so that he never goes back to the way he was before. When I'm practicing the come command with Henry, I always do it the same way. It's usually going to be on a walk, and when I'm walking him, I have my left hand through the loop, and my right hand is for grabbing the reward and calling him to me. And if you do it the same way every time, and you walk him this way, and see your left hand's free because the loop is over your wrist. So you're not doing this, you're not doing that. That all makes the leash tighter, which could cause him to be very stressed out and go back to being jumpy and all of that. Just keep it loose, and your right hand is free. And I was hoping to have him be distracted by the people that are walking in and out of the store. But sometimes this will happen to you, so you have to create your own distraction. What I'm going to do is, hey, Henry, just toss a little treat this way, go get that treat, and then call him away from it. Come! Like that. Good. You see how I did that? So I backed away, he was drawn to me, his nose touched the target hand, I opened it, he got the treat, and I said, good, it's okay. And then, at the same moment, my left hand grabbed the leash. So I had him. Make sure that you always, when he's on a leash, always grab the leash so that he doesn't start getting smart, which he already is, and grab the treat running off again. And also, or if he doesn't have a leash on, and he's in your backyard or someplace, hook your hand under his cloth collar and his regular collar that has the tags on it, and make sure that you have him so that he doesn't get used to just grabbing the treat and running away again. So he gets used to the fact that when you call him to come, he stays with you. Let's do this one more time. I'll toss a distraction. Go, and then come. See how he'll come anywhere that I go with this target. Good. And I usually don't do weird circles like that, so at the very last moment he was wondering what I was doing, but it still worked well. And you notice that I back away, when you back away the dog is drawn to you, like that. And you practice in a way that makes him always rush to you. And after this many hundreds of repetitions that I practice with him, that's all he knows is that when I say come, he rushes to me. It's because of me backing away like this. He can't help himself. He'll rush to me. Good. So maybe you can't back away that quickly, but at least as he's coming to you, back up like this. Do what you can do, because it's so much better than standing still. And of course, you know that if you go towards him, he'll probably run away from you. So a lot of this is just, yeah, it's fine. A lot of this is just body language. Let's do this one more time. Go. Come. Good. See, I didn't back away that time. All he knows is that he hears that command, he runs back to me because of the way I've been practicing. So make sure that you're always doing that, using the closed hand target. And then when there's no leash and you can't back away, good, just love him up and say good all at the same time, and he probably won't even miss the treat because of the way that you practiced. Okay.